All right. So you sent me this devotional note,
Yeah.
and it's from January 27th,
Right.
and it's all about like seeking first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 33.
That's it.
Yeah. So let's dive into this a little bit, huh?
Okay, sounds good.
And figure out like what does that actually mean
Mm-hmm.
in our lives?
Right.
Like what does it actually look like
Yeah.
to seek first?
Well, it's definitely a verse
Yeah.
with a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have resonated with it over the years.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, as you were kind of reading through it, what was it that
Yeah.
kind of grabbed your attention?
Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was it was
Yeah.
talking about like making this year about seeking him first.
Right.
And I thought that was a really
Yeah.
cool idea.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, sometimes I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm so busy with work and family and all the things that I have to do
Right.
that I don't even know where I would fit that in.
I hear you.
So how do we actually do that?
Yeah, that's a tension a lot of us feel.
Right.
Right? That tension between, you
Yeah.
know, what we're called to do
Yeah.
spiritually
Yeah.
and then the reality of our everyday lives.
Right. Yeah.
But what I think is interesting about the verse is that it doesn't say neglect those other things.
Right.
It just says put this first.
Yeah.
And I think that when we kind of get our priorities straight, then all those other things will fall into place.
Okay. So it's not about like
Mm-hmm.
adding something else to my to-do list.
Right.
It's more about like an internal
Right.
shift,
Yeah.
in my thinking and my priorities.
It's the lens through which we see everything.
Okay.
Right? If we see everything through the lens of, how can I seek God first?
Right.
How can I put his kingdom first?
Yeah.
Then everything else kind of flows from that.
So how do we actually do that though?
Right.
Like, what does that look like?
So, I mean, it can be as simple as
Yeah.
starting your day with prayer
Okay.
or just a moment of reflection
Mm-hmm.
or even just setting an intention
Right.
for the day.
Yeah.
To approach your day with a kingdom mindset.
Right.
Imagine you're going to a big meeting at work.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just thinking about
Yeah.
what you want to get out of it,
Right.
pause for a second and say,
Yeah.
God, how can I, make decisions in this meeting
Right.
that align with your will,
Yeah.
that align with your purpose for my life?
I love that because it's like
Yeah.
it's taking something that could be really stressful,
Yeah. Exactly.
and it's inviting peace.
Yeah.
Into that.
It's not denying the reality
Mhm.
of your deadlines
Yeah.
and your to-do lists.
Yeah.
But it's just approaching them
Right.
with a different lens.
I got yeah.
And the good news is it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this huge life overhaul.
Right. Yeah.
This devotional note is really encouraging us to
Yeah.
just find one practical thing
Okay.
that we can do.
Mhm.
Maybe it's volunteering once a month.
Okay.
Maybe it's using your professional skills
Yeah.
to help a nonprofit.
Right.
Maybe it's,
Yeah.
Responding to your kids
Yeah.
with patience instead of frustration.
Yeah. So it's those small choices that we make.
Exactly. And over time,
Yeah.
those small choices add up
Right.
to a big difference in how we experience life.
It's like those small choices create a ripple effect.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our lives.
Yeah, and it's not just
Mhm.
about, feeling good. Right.
There's a growing body of research
Oh, wow.
that shows that living with a sense of purpose
Okay.
actually has
Yeah.
psychological and even physiological benefits.
Wow.
Reduced stress,
Mm-hmm.
improved focus,
Mhm.
increased resilience.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's practical tools like that can really help.
Yeah.
I also noticed that the devotional note included a prayer.
Mm.
And I thought it was a beautiful prayer.
Yeah.
It's talking about,
Right.
aligning our priorities with God's will
Yeah.
and asking for guidance and direction.
It's a great reminder
Yeah.
that we don't have to do this on our own.
Right.
There's a source of strength and wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that we can tap into.
Right.
It's not about knowing all the answers. It's
Yeah.
about being willing to seek guidance
Yeah.
and trust in something bigger than ourselves.
It's like saying, I don't have it all figured out,
Right.
but I'm willing to. That's a great way to put it.
Ask for help.
Yeah. And that willingness to ask for help
Yeah.
is really at the heart
Yeah.
of seeking first.
Yeah. So it's not about
Mm-hmm.
abandoning everything.
Right.
It's about approaching it with a different lens.
Yeah.
It's about those small choices that we make.
Right.
And it's about
acknowledging that we don't have to have it all figured out.
Right.
But we can seek guidance and support.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So as you're thinking about this, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Think about those areas in your life where you feel really stuck or overwhelmed. And I wonder if shifting your perspective to a kingdom-first approach might unlock some solutions that you haven't even considered before.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah.
That's a great challenge.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think we try to do more to fix it.
Exactly.
And maybe it's not about doing more.
It's about aligning ourselves differently.
Yeah, it's about aligning ourselves differently.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
This was a really great conversation.
Yeah, it was really good talking to you.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
Okay, bye.
Bye.